Order then, being 1 o'clock. This is the June 3rd, 2020 meeting of the Municipal Building Committee. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Municipal Building Committee is being conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. A reminder that persons who would like to view this meeting while in progress may do so by turning into Westborough TV. Okay, the first thing on the agenda is open forum, but we have nobody that's here, so obviously we'll jump to number 2, which is the approval of the meeting that was held on March 10th, 2020. We have a motion to approve that.
I'd move to approve them as printed, Al.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, Peter O'Neill second. Dexter made the motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, we'll take a roll call vote. Dexter Blois.
Aye.
Jim Stewart. I think Jim must be muted.
Sorry about that. Aye.
Okay, Peter O'Neill.
Yay.
Al Gordon, yes. So it's the only one we have to approve today. The next agenda item is the Forbes Municipal Building, the renovations, the OPM report. Peter, are you on?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I am. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hi, Peter.
Hi, everybody. I did share my screen, Mr. Chairman, committee members. I don't know if you can see it. Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Committee members, just like to a brief update on recent progress since we last met on March 10th. The contractor 5-star, the owner, Westborough, and myself, we've been having discussions regarding closeout activities, which include punch list, owner training, and closeout documentation. On May 15th, representatives from 5-star, the building commissioner, Jim Stewart, and myself met at the job site, or the project site, the building. We walked through the punch list. We walked through a series of other items to include owner training and closeout documentation. And we created a list of activities and things that needed to be worked on and or completed. Since that point in time, 5-star with Matt Rex and Jonathan Ennis have been on site performing some actual trade punch list work, such as fixing things within the building. We've also been working on scheduling the balance of owner training, and we are also working on the final collection and turnover of closeout documentation at this time. We are anticipating, the building commissioner has requested a meeting, I believe it's next Friday, to reconvene back on site. Represent 5-star building commissioner, Mr. Stewart, and myself, just to check in on progress. And I believe that is scheduled to happen next Friday, as I said. I will pause here for a minute and allow Matt Reck, Ed Leonardo, the building commissioner, or Jim Stewart, join in with any thoughts or further comment.
Well, Matt has been on site, Matt and his team, working on the punch list items. I personally haven't done a follow-up over there and walked around to see, what's still left open and what's not. Maybe Matt can comment on that. I know there's Fred's still waiting on a few items, which Matt can comment on that too, or Fred. But it's a work in progress, and there is some movement forward over there.
Agreed. Yeah, I was actually looking for a hard copy or a digital copy, I mean, of the list that Peter had handed out on the 15th so that I could provide an update to everybody, all highlighted with the items that were completed. To date, there's a handful of items, setting up the key cabinet, the ceramic floor tile. There's a couple of items that are left open, but when we were there last week, myself, Kevin, and our laborer, Alex, we took care of most of the contractual items. There was a couple items that on the list that, you know, weren't part of the contract. I know we had discussed that on the 15th. So when I receive that digital copy, I'll highlight all the items, comment on them, and send everything back so everybody can see exactly where we're standing. With regards to the ADA, AAB, I had fed a couple emails back and forth over the last couple of days with Fred, and agreed to take care of some of the items that were left outstanding. There's a lot of the other items on the list that are already complete and are looking for verification, and you know, the handrails and the parking space are due to be completed very shortly. I know L&L, the handrail sub, is due out there tomorrow, and we'll start taking care of their items. And my site work contractor is just waiting for confirmation that next week he'll be going for the paver. So that's about the update I have on the physical punch list items moving forward.
A question, Al, to Matt, please.
Go ahead, Dexter.
Yeah, Matt, when you mentioned the handrails, well, which handrails are we talking about, please?
The exterior handrails were the front handrail on the police side in particular was found with some code deficiencies. So those are getting worked on, as well as the back PD ramp is getting worked on. He also has documentation. He's taken field measurements. I believe he was at the site either yesterday or might have been this morning. He called me and left me a voicemail saying that he took measurements and was going to give me documentation supporting that. A couple of the other items were in tolerance and were, you know, installed correctly. So I'm waiting on that email that with the letter that will come after he does his remediation work and completes that portion.
Now, Matt, is this as a result of Fred's inspections or Brian's comments?
Well, this is a result of the ADA inspection that was done in September.
Yeah.
And
Okay. So
basically
Fred's
it
the
rolls
one.
into that.
Fred's the one that's got to be satisfied with this.
Agreed.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Matt, this is Peter. I will get you that electronic list this afternoon.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Okay, this is Peter again, Mr. Chairman, committee members. Anybody else? Fred or anybody, any additional thoughts or comments on punch list, owner training, and closeout documentation?
Sure, this is Fred Leonardo, building commissioner speaking. Thank you for asking. And I apologize. I lost the video, the responses from Matt at some point, so I may be being redundant here. I think Jonathan and Matt are working on the closeout documents for the C of Os. Is that a correct statement?
Yes.
Okay, great. So part of that too, and I keep emphasizing this, we need as-bills to have engineering review. So that's, I'm hoping that's part of the process too, that's in there somewhere.
Yeah, we're just waiting on the review of the hard copies that have already been turned over, determine if we need to, anything additional.
Okay, great. And then, unfortunately, I don't think Brian's on this phone call, but I got an email from him just moments ago that he's reviewed some of the ADA issues with Matt, but I wasn't in the middle of that. I wasn't copied on those reviews, and so I'm not sure if we've covered all the items, because many of the items Brian Hughes and or his team put back to 5-star to have corrected. I know Matt has told me he's agreed to do some corrections, including the doors, which is great. The ones I'm a little bit concerned about are toilet heights and some of the grab bar heights and stuff. I don't know how that's been resolved. Again, Mr. Humes' team had put that back on 5-star, and I just want to make sure those are addressed, because those could be reasonably significant monetary items.
Yeah, right.
So Fred, to that point, me and Brian did have some conversation, mainly revolving around the doors that you saw me kick back and forth yesterday. With regard to some of these other ones, including the toilets, which had existing to remain carriers, so we did not dictate the heights, as well as a couple of other items. We are still in conversation with Brian as to how those will get addressed, because those, I don't consider those to be on the GC when the plans direct it to be existing to remain. So we're still talking on some of those other items, but I did want to give you a follow-up, because I told you guys I would follow up with the ADA report and at least let you know where we stood with some of the items.
That's great, Matt. Thank you for that follow-up. I will commend all parties.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I just want you to know I got an email from Brian that he's trying to connect. So I don't know if you want to hold some of this conversation if we try to get him connected.
Sure.
We can certainly do that. And one other point too, I wanted to.
Christy, I'm here now.
Oh, good. Okay.
All right, so let me restate. Brian, hi, it's Fred.
Hi, Fred.
Hi. You had just sent me a text, not a text, I'm sorry, an email a few minutes ago. I didn't read the whole thing, but one of the things I'm mentioning to Matt now is that I wasn't in between the conversation between you and Matt relative to the list of 5-star and what they're required to do. So Matt just informed me that you and he are still working on the toilet heights and the grab bars as far as how that will be resolved. Does that sound correct?
The email that I sent you, Fred, was on the toilet paper towel dispenser height. There still seems to be some confusion there. 5-star has installed them to the height that we've directed them to install them, which is 48 inches.
Okay, let me clarify that pretty quickly. If you go back to your report, as a matter of fact, one of your responses references 42 inches. And if you look at the Massachusetts Architectural Access Board, they require the controls of the paper towel dispenser to be at 42 inches. And if you look at your report on several of the pages, someone, you or whoever from your company, referenced that 42-inch dimension as well. So I think, and I can lead you to where it is in the AAB code about the 42 inches to the controls. So to me,
look at it further, Fred. The controls that we have, those are automatic dispensers. So there are no controls to be activated. So the 48 inches that we have them installed at meets the forward reach requirement at section 6.5 of the Architectural Access Board, which allows, if you have clear floor space on the forward approach to the object, the maximum high forward reach allowed is 48 inches. So we have no controls to turn or to adjust. It's just a 48-inch forward reach approach to the device.
Well, yeah, well, okay. So if you don't mind sending me that, but I was looking at the controls that you actually had to sweep your hand to have it activated or something. You had to sweep something in front of the device to have it activated.
And it works at 48 inches.
Okay. So So having said that, because I don't know that that was one of the replies, if that's the case, can you just reference the code to me in the email? So I
And
can
that was
reference that.
that was the email I sent to you.
Oh, okay, so I apologize, I didn't fully read the email.
Yeah, it was just recent.
Yeah, like minutes ago, so.
Yeah.
So assuming that to be correct, then that no longer is an issue because you've addressed it from a code standpoint, so we would agree with that.
All of the other items that Matt and I talked about, I don't think there was any conflicts with, and I think we've talked through most of them.
Well, again, Brian, not to be redundant, but as long as we can resolve the toilet heights and stuff, so they're either compliant or I can say, yeah, we're okay with them or whatever, because that also drives the grab bars a little bit, because if the toilet heights, and on a few of the noted toilets, if they're too high, it also drove the height of the grab bar, which was out of compliance.
I think the grab bars are at 36 to center instead of 36 to top. So what are they, about a half an inch out of compliance?
No. Grab bars are allowed to go from 36 to 38 to the top of the grab bar, so you have a 2-inch tolerance anyway.
So the grab bars are in compliance. The only issue you're saying is a height on a toilet?
No, my apologies. Some of the bathrooms, it was specifically noted that the grab bar was too high. What I'm saying, generally, if you look at it, the toilet seat was also too high. So if the toilet seat's a half an inch too high and the grab bar's half an inch too high, that means everything kind of got elevated based on the toilet location, because that drove the toilet, the device in the back end, the flushometer. So the flushometer then drove the height of the grab bar. It was kind of like if one thing was too high, everything else was going to be too high. That's kind of my reference with the toilet heights.
I'll have to go back and do some research, Fred, as to which ones specifically we're talking about, because all of the toilets are all the same. So I don't know what would make a mounting any different for one versus another. That we haven't changed the types of toilets or seats.
No, I think what drove some of the height issues, Bri, it's Matt. Good afternoon. Is the existing to remain carriers. And I mean, some of them we ended up, you end up just making them. But if that original floor, was already too low, that's where we end up having a seat that's too high, and then you get up to the flushometer, and the flushometer needs 1.5 inch clearance to the grab bar, and that kind of drove the other items. So in the gang bathrooms on 2 and 3 and the basement, I think were our big culprits.
Because we're using existing carriers.
Yeah.
This is Fred Leonardo again. Brian, I think that's pretty succinctly what Matt is describing. That's what I agree with. I mean, the question becomes, could have the carriages been adjusted and all that? I don't know. That's kind of beyond me to answer, but that's exactly what Matt's saying. So, for instance, in one of the bathrooms, if the toilet seat, and we're literally talking a half inch, but it is what it is because there's ranges. If the toilet was supposed to be no higher than 19 inches, it get bumped to 19 and a half. That drove the flushometer, drove the grab bar, which is about a half inch too high. So it's kind of one thing affected the other. So what Matt said, I agree with him 100%.
I'd have to go back and see if we're a half an inch or if it's something less, because one, we can just maybe swap out the type of seat that we have on it, because that's what's being measured to, not the china, but to the seat.
Get seats with no bumpers on them or something.
Right.
Well, yeah, that takes care of the toilet height, but it doesn't answer the grab bar height.
Well, it starts the process of now, if you say one thing starts to snowball into other things, we need to see what we do to start the process to get these all back into a compliance that you're looking for.
Yeah, exactly so. Without belaboring the point, that's exactly so. And the other thing while we're talking about the accessibility, and I'll try to have to reach out to the chair of the MAAB, and I know I've said this before and lied about it, but anyway, oftentimes when it comes to historical buildings, and certainly Forbes is, you can also base the variance on the nature of the building itself, because of the history of the building and that it's a historical building. I saw it happen multiple times in Lexington. So that's something you and I might be able to work on, Brian, as far as some of the variances, if you will.
If you are claiming that it's based on a historical significance, they also want you to submit this to the ADA consultation process through the Mass Historical Commission.
Well, so there's a couple specific areas that I think come into play there. One is the grab bar and or toilet paper dispensers under the windows and the group bathrooms, because certainly to move those windows would affect the historical nature of the building, not even mentioning the cost to have changed all those windows out to make that compliant. And the other one is the Great Hall, because that back doorway leading out of the Great Hall, again, to change that doorway would have changed the characteristics in the historical nature of the Great Hall and the cost to move the whole stairwell and door. Those are the couple areas specifically I was referring to relative to historic nature of the building.
And as I say, we can assist, but with that assistance, there's no guarantee. We just have to go through the process, and whatever the answer is, the answer is. And if it's positive, then that's great. If it's not positive, then what?
Well, that's a good point. If it's not positive, then we're stuck with it.
Right. So true. We can go through the process, and everybody thinks that I'm hearing you have some confidence that it might be accepted, which would be great. I'm just not seeing that you have something that's technically infeasible. So that's all. That's my only caution, Fred, is we're going to go down a process that we don't know the answer until we go through the process.
Agreed.
Matt, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Nope.
Okay. Guess we're back to Peter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, everyone, for your participation and recent comments on the last couple of items. Still on item 3 is the FF&E. Just a quick update to the committee. Since we last met, there has been several discussions and ongoing review of the red thread activities, which includes punch list and some change order work and some punch list, some invoicing. Since we met, we did pay an invoice to Red Thread back in April. We paid them $94,152, which was a series of value that they had put in place. There's currently about $11,800 remaining of change order work and some punch list activities that they have to complete. I know there's been some recent emails this week about some of the ongoing punch list work, and I think, Brian, you may know a little bit about that between Ann, and in particular, the building commissioner's office. I think it's room 213, petition height, and maybe Jim Stewart, if you could chime in a little bit, if you have any information regarding other punch list discussions you may have come across. So maybe Brian, if you want to, or Christy, you may know a little bit about it as well. Anything from Red Thread anybody wants to add?
Well, this is Brian. I'll start the conversation because I did exchange some emails about activity in room 213. I think that's the building commissioner's number. That there were some panels that were going to be swapped out for another height, and Red Thread has agreed to do that at no additional cost. So That's just one item of many, but it was one that was coming at a cost. The other punch list items, there are still punch list items that need to get completed. And I think that Red Thread was waiting on a time that they could come back to the facility. I don't know if they were restricted because of COVID or because the facility was closed, but they have not been able to get into the facility. So now that this item's been resolved for the building commissioner, I think Christie indicated that they could come back to the building to complete items. So now it's just scheduling them to do that.
Yeah, so I responded to the email and copied Jim Stewart so that they can coordinate a time if they need access to the building. The buildings are still closed to the public, but we certainly would allow them in to finish up punch list work.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Jim, anything to add from your perspective, or should we move on to the next one?
No, Peter, I think that's it. I had conversations with Ann a little while ago, probably about a month ago, and I did tell her we were closed down, but we would always allow access as long as we know when they're coming and a time, and that just is the same going forward. Anytime they want to reach out to me with their schedule, I'll let them into the building.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to move on to item 4, if that's acceptable. Item 4 is just a quick review of the ongoing change order logs, both from the construction perspective and the owner's look ahead. I'll change my screen to here. I know it's small font, but here it is. I know I say we, I mean the OPM and designer need to finalize our review and send off an acceptance to the general contractor for the 3 remaining PCOs that Five Star has submitted. And I believe this extends those, which is PCO 115, 118, and 126. There also is a general conditions request by the general contractor for extended general conditions in the amount of $54,600. That was addressed by the town manager back to the president of Five Star, and I'm not aware of any response back on that yet. But I know for the immediate time being, the OPM and designer can move forward with making a final recommendation for the remaining PCOs 115, 118, and 126, as shown here on the screen. I'm certainly with the full understanding, from my perspective, the PCO 115, where the Five Star company did some work regarding FF&E. So the $5,951.40 is basically recommended for approval. The other 2 items, 118, PCO 118 and 126, I just wanted to, circle back with Brian to see where we stand on that. But committee members, be aware those 3 will be coming forth.
Peter, can you, this is Dexter, can you tell me what the bottom line is here? Where's the last page of your report?
The last,
this is
okay, hold on. This one? I'll zoom in a little. This is the bottom line.
So the potential uncommitted is what, 59? There we go. 59,000. Does that include that change list, which is what must be up here, 4 or 5 lines, 69, 190, 495?
Correct. Let me move over, Dexter, 1 second. I'll adjust my screen for viewing purposes. So yes, row
Okay.
603 is the number I just mentioned up above, which is the contractor's submitted change request, which includes the $54,000 for extended general conditions. I'm still carrying that until it's considered 100% closed.
Okay, so we're still at the bottom line at 59,000?
That's the extreme bottom line, if I can say it that way.
Yeah.
Maybe look at row
Okay, can we-
607, the
Can we
yellow
go
one.
back to the previous screen, please?
Yes, please hold.
Okay, so that now, have you approved, whoops,
This one?
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Have you approved PCO 115?
Well,
Your
my
recommend-
opinion, yes. I wanted
You
to
and
get
Brian are on board with that?
pretty much because we're back charging Red Thread for that value.
Okay, so I moved in that we approve a PCO 115 in the amount of 5951.40.
I'll second that, Al Gordon. Okay, any discussion? Okay, take a roll call vote. Dexter,
Aye.
Jim Stewart. I think Jim is
Aye.
still muted.
Aye.
Peter O'Neill,
Yes.
Al Gordon, yes. That's unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, anything else? Brian, anybody, Matt? Any other questions on the contractor's change order log?
What, Peter, Dexter again, what's the scoop with the next two, 118 and 126?
It-
Those have been outstanding for quite a while, haven't they?
Yes, they have. Yes, they have, and no real excuse, but we just haven't circled back, the OPM and designer.
Well, can we circle back and get those, get the either approved or not approved so we can get Matt on with it and get him out of here? No offense, Matt.
None taken, Dexter. Thank you.
Sure, let's talk about it right now. I'm ready to move forward with them, quite frankly, as
And what
shown.
about Brian?
I know that the hold on 126 was because it had to do with furniture conflicts. So I think there was going to be a conversation between Red Thread and the town and 5 Star and the OPM as to how this is all going to get resolved more on a global basis than just 126. And I don't know if that conversation's been completed, but if it has, then we can move forward.
Peter, what's the scoop?
If I could make a recommendation, Dexter, Mr. Chairman, building committee members, if you would allow the approval of 118 as shown, 126 as a not to exceed pending final discussion and review with Red Thread on that furniture related item that Brian discussed. So,
All right. So I moved in, Al, that we approve PCO 118 in the amount of 5541.66. And we approve PCO 126 in an amount not to exceed $3,102.
I'll second that, Al Gordon. Any discussion?
Did Enza get all of that?
Yes, thank you.
Chrissy,
Okay.
do you have any issue with these?
No.
Okay. Okay, we'll take a roll call vote.
Did she say, she said, well, not no, Al, I think.
No, I said no. I said no.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
It sounded like well.
All right, roll call vote. Dexter,
Aye.
Jim Stewart,
Aye.
Peter O'Neill,
Yes.
Al Gordon, yes, that's unanimous.
great. Thank you very much, committee members. Appreciate getting that going and off the dime. Dexter, thanks for pushing us. Okay, the next item is just the look-ahead log with respect to the estimated owner look-ahead changes. Not much of a change since we last met. I do need to circle back with some things. In-house, when I say in-house, within Westborough. But I could say one thing I do need to reconcile as well is I think we're going to come to a conclusion on the Red Thread $8,000 change order. Got to circle back on that with them. Handling charges, I think we've resolved that one, but I want to confirm it. And the other one is probably the big one is this one, the 18,000 for the card readers with Patrick Cullen. I think that the 5,000 is gone away, I believe. And then the elevator access control as well. We just got a what we call a Municipal munis report from the town accountant's office where the OPM reads the report and extracts cost that has been encumbered against the project, and we put it against our budget. We just haven't cleaned that up yet. That happened about 5 days ago. We just need to do that. But I don't see anything. Nothing's been added to this list. I think some of these, the $73,000, I believe will be less than that as far as an overall look ahead. But I need to confirm that based on recent activity.
Okay, Peter, good job.
So there's where we are there. I'll bring you down to the bottom line of the budget. I think we saw this a minute ago. I'll send this full report out electronically to the committee so you can have it on your email. But right now you can see here, I'll zoom in a little bit here, where we're anticipating right now these costs here shown kind of in this red zone here.
Where are we at with the boiler exhaust piping?
That's been accepted to remain in place as is.
Oh, that's good news.
Well, if I may comment on that, please.
Please.
It's Fred Lenaro speaking. So the bottom line on that is that, albeit we didn't have a severe winter, we didn't have a problem with this winter. We really are not going to know if it's going to be a problem or not until we have some severe weather. Bottom line is the town was going to have to pay for the correction pretty much anyway. So between Mr. Stewart and myself, we just kind of said that we'll take it on because we're going to have to pay for it, and we don't really know if it's going to be a problem yet or not.
Okay.
So that's a quick snapshot, committee members, as we see it at this moment. I will certainly update this, and in the meantime, between now and the next meeting, I'll send out a report with any updates in the meantime.
Peter, a question, and maybe Jim and or Fred can answer, but regarding the boiler, that the area at the bottom of the stairs, the outside stairs there, where the drain was uphill from the sump, if you will, is that got fixed, or is that what's the scoop on that?
It has not been fixed.
Go ahead.
It has not been fixed. I think that was another one of the issues that could be that the town's going to be responsible to pay whatever cost is anyway. And Fred's, correct me if I'm wrong, that we kind of decided that we might have to, take care of that ourselves.
Okay, all right. I just hadn't heard the result of that. I know that was a discussion months ago, but all right. Thanks, Jim.
Dexter, this is Brian. I'll follow up that we did provide a design sketch for that, and we did repitch the areaway floor. We did recommend some electric radiant heating within that slab for winter conditions. So there is a design sketch that's been presented to the town on that. If you wanted to move forward with it, you have a design.
All right, thank you. Jim, you have that then?
I don't have a copy of that, Brian, if there's been a design submitted. Peter, do you have that?
Yeah, it was an ASI. We actually issued it to 5-Star, but we can get a copy to you, Jim.
Okay, thank you.
Did 5-Star give us a price on it, Brian?
They never have, no.
Okay, then it's not something we need to worry about at this time, I guess then, Jim?
Yeah, I feel like that, we're going to end up paying for it anyway, so we might as well just get it off the plate and, we'll deal with it when we need to deal with it.
Okay, all right, very well, thank you.
Okay, very good. If there's nothing else on the budget, I'll go back up to cover sheet for the report. We talked about, so item 4, committee members, looks to be complete. Item 5, just kind of an open general discussion about things. Open floor, I guess.
Yeah, this is Jim Stewart. Just one thing, I just want the board to know that I did contact Cone Painting here in town to take care of the touch-up paint that needs to be done on those medallions in the Great Hall. The ones that are peeling that have everybody seems to notice them. So he came out and looked at it, and basically it's not a very big job to him. He had asked if we would accept the time and materials price on that, because really the painting part of it is very small. I mean, we're talking probably a couple of quarts of paint. He's got to try to do it off of a ladder with standoffs rather than try to stage it all. And he feels like he could do it in a day's time. He was just waiting for, he'd like to do it on a rainy day when he can't work outside. He'd send a couple guys in there to take care of it.
Did you have an amount, Jim? You said time and material.
He hasn't got back to me. He had asked for a T&M on it. Really, Dexter, we're looking at a gallon of paint and a day's work. So I think, maybe what, $1,000 maybe, or $1,500, something like that. I think we had discussed it. It was, far below anything that I needed to do to get, a procurement on and have to get 3 prices. Right now, getting a hold of painters, as long as the weather stays good, everybody's busy. But, where Marcone is right in town here, I figured I would reach out to him and see if he could take care of it. If you'd like, I can tie him down with a not to exceed price, and I could let the board know, and we could vote on it on then. But I just wanted to bring it up to you now.
Yeah, well, I tried to go ahead and make a motion if you had an amount not to exceed. I would say if you're talking about a gallon of paint, which is probably $50, and you're looking at 8 hours a day, how much does he make a day? Can't be $100 an hour, so they'd be looking at less than $1,000.
Yeah, that when I had talked to him, I said, well, are we talking about $1,000 here, or and he's kind of looking. He goes, yeah. If I can get it in a day, it'd be around there. And I go, well, I kind of need a little bit more than that to bring it to for a vote, but I figured I would just bring it up now, and the weather's been good, so I haven't been in contact with them again. But I'm sure.
Wait till this hurricane gets up to you, Jim. You'll think it won't be so good.
Dexter, you want to make a motion on that we not to exceed a certain amount, so at least Jim can get going on this?
Yeah, I would say go ahead, Jim, with an amount not to exceed $1,000.
Okay.
That motion, Dexter?
Yes.
Okay, I'll second that motion, Al Gordon.
Can you please clarify the vendor's name?
Yeah, it's Marcone Painting.
Marcone.
Jim? Hi, Jim, this is Peter.
Yeah, Peter.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to intrude, but I think $1,000 is a bit short, but not to exceed, based on the potential for 2 workers to be there for the 8-hour day. I'm more in the range of 1,500. That way, if it exceeds 1,000, you're covered. I'm not promoting spending more. I'm just giving that allowance, and I'm just showing a thought. Your call.
Well, I
Jim, you
The
comfortable with that?
prevailing is about $70 an hour.
Well, so I said I went with 100. An 8-hour day, that's 800, and 200 for a gallon of paint.
There might be 2 more. I think there might be 2 workers, Dexter. That's all.
Oh, is Marcone going to do it himself, Jim?
I don't. He didn't state that. It sounded to me like he was going to send 2 guys over,
Right.
just because they're working off of a ladder and the height of it, and then just getting the equipment, into the building, carried upstairs. I believe it was going to be 2 men. One actually probably doing the painting, the other guy being the person on the ground, foot in the ladder, that type of thing.
Well, we have you foot the ladder, Jim, and then we'll save some money. All right, I'll make that
Can I ask
$1,500.
a question?
All right, Dexter's amended this motion of $1,500 not to exceed. I will second that.
Peter has a question. Peter O'Neill.
Nope. Go ahead, Peter.
Jim, Peter O'Neill, how high up is that? We keep talking of height and off the top of my head, I don't remember.
I gotta say, you gotta be 25 feet,
Okay,
20 feet, maybe.
all right.
Matt,
Are
Matt,
there any of?
I
Okay.
think you're about 22 to 24 to that medallion, yeah.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other comments, questions? If not, we'll go to a roll call vote. Dexter,
Aye.
Jim Stewart,
Aye.
Peter O'Neill,
Yes,
Al Gordon, yes, that's unanimous.
Okay. I'm all set. Anything else on item 5, general open discussions? Anybody?
yeah,
Oh, go ahead, Beck. Go ahead, Fred.
yeah, it's Fred Leonardo, Building Commissioner. I just want to follow up on a comment Peter had made earlier about the follow-up meeting a week from this Friday, June 12th. Can we get a confirmation on a time and that it'll be at the Forbes Building? I'm not sure that I got that confirmation. Or Peter, is that something you can handle and send me an email at some point?
Certainly. Let's do it right now, real quick. Let me look at my calendar real quick. I'll tell you right now, I'm wide open. I'll take any time you're available. I'll talk to Matt and Jonathan if they want to offer a time.
I think Jim Stewart and myself were good anytime from 9:30 on Friday, that Friday. Does that sound right, Jim?
Yes.
Okay,
I'm good with 9:30.
9:30 it is. 9:30 on the 12th, Fred. I'll follow up an email so you have something in calendar.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Yep, no, good call.
Okay. This is Al Gordon. I do have a question for Matt. There was an issue, I believe, with one of the garage doors for the police sally put. Do we know if that was fixed?
You'd have to ask Jim. I think he called overhead door for a service call because that's under warranty.
Okay,
Yes, Al, it was fixed. They were
Okay.
out last week. They came in, they adjusted the clutch on the closer, and it's all set.
okay. Thank you, Jim.
Yep.
Great. Okay.
Okay, that's it.
Committee members, if you want, I can move on to item 6. None at this time.
That's
We
good.
like that.
Wait, Peter.
Yeah.
At the last municipal building committee meeting, there were invoices deferred to the next municipal building committee meeting. And I also think that this is the time to go over some of the payments that we've made in the last
Okay.
couple.
Okay, go ahead, Christie.
So, Peter, you probably you have the amounts, but there was 2 payments made to 5 Star, and then you referenced the payment made to Red Thread.
Yes, I can say those out loud if you'd like for
Yep.
everyone. So that is correct. 2 invoices were paid. Requisition number 31 to 5 Star in the amount of $25,200.90. A second payment to 5 Star, requisition number 32 in the amount of $76,797.89. That leaves a balance to 5 Star based on the change orders approved to date of $87,676.97. With respect to Red Thread, we made a payment in April for work performed in the amount of $94,152. That leaves a current open balance of $11,800 to Red Thread.
All right, then Al, I would make a motion that we ratify the action taken in paying those 3 invoices. Order number 31 to 5 Star, number 32 to 5 Star, and the amount of $94,152 to Red Thread. You there, Al?
Do we have a second on that?
I'll second that.
That's
Peter O'Neill.
Peter O'Neill. Okay, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Dexter,
Aye.
Jim Stewart,
Aye.
Peter O'Neill,
Yes.
Al Gordon, yes, that's unanimous.
And let me ask Christie on the, or Peter, I guess, on the balance to Red Thread. Are we still negotiating with them as to what the extra that they want? I know you had a number in your change order that you thought might be due to Red Thread. Is this, is that part of the 11,800?
You can see my screen now, Dexter. I just put it on there. There's a couple of
yet.
things we need to resolve with them at this point. You can see down here the $11,800.
You haven't got the right screen up here, Peter.
I don't?
Not on our end.
No, it's not the right one's not up here. You still
The
got page
agenda's
one.
still up there.
All right, let me try something. What the heck happened? Please hold. How's that? See this one?
Okay.
So here's the payment. Here's the payments we made. 10 invoices, $94,152. We have some pending quotes and some work that's under review in the amount of $11,800. But you can see, I have to update this now. They wanted $1,400 here, $1,402 for room 213. We were just told today that that won't be happening, so we can reduce that by $1,400. And then there's a change order in the amount of $9,187. We need to finalize that. And I think there was some of that was punch list work as well. I got to just double back with Jim Stewart on what we're holding for punch list.
Well, one of the things that we haven't come to an agreement on is the damage that was done to the tile floor in the police break room.
Right. That's right too.
We haven't come to an agreement on a price on the repair of that.
Jim, have they acknowledged that they are responsible for that?
In a roundabout way. We all met there. We all saw it. Nobody agreed, that yes, they're going to pay for it. But they acknowledged that the guides that were in place on the chairs did cause the damage. They had mentioned about seeing if they couldn't be buffed out or wiped, something like that. But it's a scratch. It's not going to come out. So we have West Flooring coming back to do some work down in the basement for some punch list items in the bathrooms down there, and they were going to take a look at that and give us a price on what it was going to cost to do it.
If we have another meeting sometime this summer, possibly we can get a estimate at that time.
Yes. Matter of fact, as soon as I get it, I'll forward it all to the board so that they can take a look at it and see it.
Jim, this is Brian.
Yeah, Brian.
If you could forward me that cost, because Red Thread was waiting for a cost proposal so they could review it.
Okay.
So do we have an idea as to how much that's going to be? Is it going to be in excess of the $10,000 that we are still owing them?
I don't believe so. I think it'll be. Someone said something. I don't believe so, Dexter. Me and Peter, when we did our walkthrough and trying to put a value on some of the items that were outstanding, we were thinking maybe, and Peter, correct me if I'm wrong, were we around, maybe $7,000 for that?
Yeah, that was a high end, but yes.
Yeah.
That was the high end of the estimate. So,
And then so the money that's on these two pending quotes, lines 2 and 3, would cover it if they're not going to fix it and we have to fix it. We've got enough money to cover it with what we owe them. Is that correct?
yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I have a question, Peter O'Neill. What is that floor? I've never been in there, so what is that floor? Is it a
It's a
vinyl?
vinyl, it's a vinyl plank, and because it's a vinyl plank, 100% of the floor does not have to be replaced, but
Right.
the scratched panels will need to be replaced, and that's what we're waiting to get a price on.
Is that a so-called floating plank floor?
It's fully
Or do they
adhered.
glue it down?
It's fully adhered, but it's a vinyl plank, luxury vinyl plank.
Well, I was just trying to figure out if they would be cutting out a section or whether they can, uncouple a section, but it sounds to me like they're gonna have to cut a section.
They will cut a section of the floor, correct?
Okay. Thank you.
Okay,
Well, and so then there's also the minutes from the previous meeting. There were 4 invoices presented for Jakinski Hume that we didn't vote on. So one of them was for $1,250, which was related to work with Gamma. We did pay that invoice also since the last meeting. So Peter, you have that right, 19332.
so the Jakunski Humes one?
Yep, 19332.
Yeah, shoot. Yeah, I don't have it in front of me right now. I can call it up.
This is an invoice to Jehunsi Homes, yeah, to Brian,
Right.
okay.
So we
And it's
met.
19,332.
No. So this one was $1,250, and this was related to the working with the interior designer. So that was considered at the last meeting. We had a good meeting with Kama and worked out a lot of it. So we did pay that. I just wanted the committee to know that we did pay that invoice, the $1,250.
All right, so then Alan, I need to add to the motion to ratify the action taken in paying Jagunsi Humes $1,250.
I have it on.
1250.
Correct.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second, Peter.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Dexter,
Aye.
Jim Stewart,
Aye.
Peter O'Neill,
Yes.
Al Gordon, yes, that's unanimous.
And then there were 3 other invoices from Jakunski Humes for services October, November, and December that the committee deferred approval on as well.
So that hasn't been paid yet, Christie?
Right, the committee didn't deferred approval of that. So
How much was that?
so the total would be 6. Hold on. 19,200.
I'm sorry to interrupt. It's Fred Leonardo. I have another meeting coming up, so I was going to jump off this if you didn't need me for anything.
Not that I'm aware of.
Fred, thank you for your input.
Thank you.
Christie, would you
All right, Fred.
suggest that we pay this invoice?
So we have been working with Brian to go back through the ADA report. And he said he did go back through the ADA report and give us more information on his responses. And so, which was helpful in terms of being able to figure out who's responsible for which things. I mean, he's committed today, I think, as part of that, those invoices as part of that payment to help us with variances and work towards project closeout. So, I want to hear confirmation from him that that's correct, but I think that we would move forward with the payment.
Brian, you still on?
I'm on, and that is correct. I expressed that in an email earlier to Christie.
Yeah.
Okay, so on Christie's recommendation, I would say we can ask for a motion to pay the $19,200 to Jakunski Humes.
Second.
Okay, any discussion further? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Dexter,
Aye.
Jim Stewart,
Aye.
Peter O'Neill,
Yes.
Al Gordon, yes. So that's unanimous.
I think that's it, Peter, as far as invoices that we've paid since the last time the Municipal Building Committee met. So,
Right. Okay. Thank you for that.
Excuse me, this is Enza. I had sent an email about an invoice for BCM controls in the amount of $76.91 and 74 cents. Has that been approved? There is a purchase order for it, and that would close out the PO. And
Is BCM the access control people?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Peter, would you recommend?
recommended payment from Patrick Cullen as well.
I think that was discussed earlier, right, the card readers.
Yeah, but it's still outstanding, Al. We didn't approve them.
Right, right. I thought Peter said he wanted to wait to talk to Pat Cullen again.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, what I have, I hope you can see my screen now. I do need to clean up some estimated values with the card readers with Mr. Cullen. You can see my screen is highlighted. Some time ago, I had inserted a value, a placeholder of $18,691 for card reader. The work took place with Mr. Cullen and BCM Control. I don't know where the final number stood or landed. I'm not sure of the invoice. I haven't seen the invoice that Enza is referring to. Not that I need to necessarily, but that's the value that I was holding, and I need to clean up that number after I review the situation with Mr. Cullen.
Right. I personally think we
Postpone
Dexter.
those until we get some information back from Peter and Pat Cullen.
I agree with Dexter.
Well, I would like to say that this invoice has been floating around for a little bit, and the company has been waiting for their money. This isn't new.
Well, how much is it for? How much is it for, Jim?
Was it $76.91? Is that Enza what it is?
Yes, yes, I did forward it to Peter, but I will forward it again to you.
What's the date on the invoice?
November 25th, 2019,
November 26th.
25.
Oh, sure. Excuse me, November 25. I'd have to ask, why has it been kicking around so long? We've had meetings since then. Are you just getting it, Enza?
This was received while we were not meeting due to COVID. And Dexter and Al, I believe you guys agreed, subject to Peter Collins' final approval.
Well, he hasn't got the final approval for us yet.
Well, I think
So on May 8th, this was sent to you, Peter.
Okay. Whoops.
So,
Yeah. I mean, if Patrick Cullen signs off on it, I have no comment. Only to put a cover letter on it. I mean,
right, Patrick Cullen.
Okay. Look, I'll make a motion. Al,
Go ahead, Dexter.
I'll make a motion that we authorize payment of the 7691.74 for the card readers, subject to Jim Stewart's confirming with Pat Cullen that we're all set on that. It's been installed and they're inspected and everything's finished on it.
Okay. Peter, you in agreement with that?
That is perfectly acceptable, yes.
Okay, I will second that motion, Al Gordon. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Dexter?
Aye.
Jim Stewart?
Aye.
Peter O'Neill?
Yes.
Al Gordon, yes, that's unanimous.
Great. Okay. Go back to my budget. So, Mr. Chairman, committee members, I guess we're still on item 6. Any other invoices from anyone else?
Christie, do you have any invoices, Christie, that you're sitting on that we need to know about?
I do not, no.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. If you'd like, move down to item 7. If we want to establish another meeting date, we can. We'll do it to be verified.
I think it would be good to schedule a meeting maybe in 2 weeks based on some of the dates that Matt's asked on, like, items getting taken care of. And we would continue to meet in this virtual format.
You don't think things will be opened up by the 1st of July?
In 2 weeks.
Oh, you want to meet in 2 weeks? I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah. The open meeting law amendment, our understanding is that we'll continue to be able to meet in this format through the state of emergency. And even though we'll be bringing people back into buildings, we don't anticipate opening to the public immediately. And we're also requesting that staff not meet, not gather in one room. So I think you should plan on this format at least for your next meeting.
All right, so the next Wednesday would be the 17th, 2 weeks from now.
Okay. Make that as a motion, Dexter?
Well, yeah, I guess you're the acting chairman, so you can call the meeting whenever you want. That's
Just-
fine with me.
Okay, Dexter's making a motion that we have the next meeting on June 17th. I'll second that. Any further discussion?
That would be 8:30 in the morning.
Yes, as far as I know, Christie?
That's fine with me. I think because we've called this meeting so quickly, we just didn't make the date, but we can this time, I'm sure.
Okay, just get Enzo to post it.
Yep.
Yeah, if she could post it tomorrow, it would be covered.
Okay, we'll take a roll call vote in that. So Dexter,
Aye.
Jim Stewart,
Aye.
Peter O'Neill,
Yes.
Al Gordon, yes, unanimous. Is there anything else we need to discuss?
Where's the little story? He doesn't have a computer. Peter, you're here with your computer expertise, and where's Earl's story with his?
Earl couldn't make it, but he has participated in these types of meetings.
Okay. Brian, good to hear your voice. I hope you're doing well down there in Connecticut.
Thank you, Dexter. Likewise, we're doing well.
Good.
Okay, I guess we have nothing further.
Move to adjourn.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Good to hear, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Christie, for
Stay
setting this
safe,
up.
Stay well. Stay safe.